Hey friends, Shay here. So I have recently finished 4 series of manga and I'm here to talk to you about them today. So in this video, I'll let you know whether it will be staying in my collection, whether it'll be leaving my collection, and my general thoughts on the series as a whole. So let's go ahead and dive in with the first one. The first one is a pretty obvious one if you've been around my channel at all in the last couple of years, and that is Imakoi Now I'm in Love. This is a 9-volume shoujo series in which we have the old married high school couple and a couple with a couple of their friends. So in this series, it is amazing. We have a girl who didn't take a chance to confess to a crush, and then she finally takes that chance with her new crush, and things go from there. This really is super sweet all the way through. If you love a series like Honey So Sweet, I think Imakoi is a great one for you. Or vice versa, if you loved Imakoi, I think you would also love Honey So Sweet. This is a great, solid shoujo series. This is definitely remaining in my collection. This is like a new shoujo staple, I think. And I think this is one that, even if you're new to shoujo series, I think this is a really good starting point because it is a solid series without too much drama. It's just very slice of life of this relationship. And I think it's done in a very cute and tasteful way. Like, I have zero regrets in reading and collecting this series. It's been one of my favorites since it came out, and the art style is absolutely stunning in it. So if you love a good art style, this has that great shoujo art. I hope we get more from this particular mangaka because I would love to read more from them. The next one I have here is I Will Never Be Your Crown Princess. This is a 3-volume steamship series, meaning it is a very sexual, spicy series. In this one, we do know that we have gotten a sequel spin-off series, and I do think that the spin-off series makes me enjoy this final volume more because I feel like it wraps up like the first part of their courtship, and then we're going to get into more of that in the series that has also been picked up. So in this one, we have this woman who is supposed to be married off to the prince of the kingdom, and the only value she has really is her virginity. So she decides to take that into her own hands, and she ends up sleeping with the prince by accident anyway. So that's kind of the setup for this particular series. If you treat this as its own, I think it doesn't stand as well. Like, if I didn't know there was a sequel series coming, I wouldn't be keeping this in my collection. But since I know there's a sequel series coming, continuing their story, then I'm more bound to keep it for now, at least. And depending on how that series goes, that will determine how long this stays in my collection. So if you didn't know about the sequel series, now you do. And that's kind of where I'm at with this one right now. These do come sealed, so it's not one you can easily like sit in a bookstore and read and decide for yourself. But maybe you could get it through a library. I know some libraries have had them. So anyways, that's my thought here on I'll Never Be Your Crown Princess. I do think the sequel series makes this more enjoyable because then I feel like it's a setup for that series. Kind of like QQ Sweeper is a setup for Queen's Quality. That's what I'm hoping, at least. Because with some of the drops that we get in this final volume, if you didn't know more was coming, you'd be like, well, why did they introduce that in the last volume? So keep that in mind. The next one I have here is Romantic Killer. Now, this is a series that is a shonen put out through the Shoujo Beat imprint. I have all sorts of feelings on that whole concept, but we're not going to get into that today. That's for a different video. But in Romantic Killer, essentially we have this girl who's a gamer girl. All she wants is chocolate and her cat. She has no interest in romance at all. But because of the birth rates going down so drastically in Japan, shenanigans ensue, and this little fairy creature comes and basically sets her up, takes away her cat, takes away chocolate, and makes it so she has to have all these romantic interactions. And that's kind of the setup for this series. It is meant to be a comedy. It is meant to be shenanigans, and I think it does that well. But this one is going to leave my collection. So the reason why this isn't going to leave my collection is if you watch the anime on Netflix, it is the entirety of the series. It doesn't have a solid resolution at the end. It is way too open-ended for my taste. And if I was going to revisit this story, I think I'd revisit the anime because I think the anime is very well done. The voice acting is fantastic in it. So I think that's how I would consume Romantic Killer in future. So I've just realized I've been holding that upside down this entire time. Anyway, so yeah, Romantic Killer is one that I am not going to keep. I had done a little teaser post on my Instagram, and a lot of you guessed that Romantic Killer was the one that I was going to get, like, that was going to leave the collection. And it's true. This is the one that's going to leave. But yeah, so anyhow, Romantic Killer isn't bad. I mean, it's a solid like 3.5, 4-star all the way through. It was a good time. So I would say borrow it from a library or borrow it from someone or watch the anime. Because I think in future I'll just watch it through the anime because I don't need to read it and watch it. And I realized after I watched the whole thing, after I'd read it, that I'm like, okay, I think I prefer the anime, so I'm going to go that route. And then last but not least for this particular roundup of series, we have the two of them are pretty much like this. Now, this is a slice of life Yuri series. Following this couple, there's a 10-year age gap between them. And this is a long period of time that takes place in 4 volumes. I want to say it's at least a year, if not longer. But anyway, these two, they're really sweet. They have a great, healthy relationship together, I think. And I think it's done in a great way where they both grow and develop over the course of the series. But in a lot of ways, this one is also forgettable. So I don't think this one's going to stay in my collection either. So I've been more brutal with what I keep and what I don't. But this is not one I think I would revisit, which is why I think I'm going to let this one go. It's a good series. I'm glad I read it. I have no regrets in that regard. But it's not one I think I'll come back and visit. So I would recommend checking this one out from a library, borrowing it from a friend, sitting in the bookstore and reading it. Whatever, something like that. It's a good story and I think it's worth consuming, but it's not one that I feel a desire to keep. I have a lot of queer manga and this one doesn't make a new favorite queer manga, so I think I'm going to let this one go. So with that said, those are kind of my thoughts on series that I've finished recently. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, definitely let me know that down below. Again, I'm not mad I spent my money on any of these series. I'm going to make that very clear right here. Supporting the manga industry is something I'm very passionate about, as a lot of you know. And being able to support that by purchasing it means we get more licenses. So I'm not mad that I spent my money on these things. Am I willing to let them go to new homes to people who might love them more? Yes. Yes, I am. But obviously 2 of them I'm keeping and 2 of them I'm sending on. And I have zero regrets again about that. Like, I just feel good about supporting the industry in this way. So anyways, thank you again for watching this video. If you are here just because you love me, leave me a crown for I'll never be your crown princess. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.